For a lot of people, the new year signals to create new goals or really focus on some of the things you might have been neglecting throughout the year. You do not have to wait until January 1st to start on your goals. You don't have to wait for your resolutions. You should really have a good understanding of where you're at before you enter the new year. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Have Breakfast. I'm your host, Jaden Liz, and I can't believe that 2025 is already almost over. Based on what I have been seeing online, 2025 has been a very challenging year for so many people, and for me, at least, it has wrung me out to dry. I have so many different experiences that have contributed to making this not my favorite year, but they are challenges and tribulations that I went through so I could make next year and the years to follow better. So, if 2025 wrung you out to dry like it did me, here are a few steps that you can take for next year to add into your winter routines to make sure you are having the best year possible. Because we want to make sure we are preparing before it catches up to us and we don't make the same mistakes that we did this year. Because look, I do not want to repeat 2025 and I need 2026 to be my year. I already know I have so many things on the calendar. My year is pretty booked and busy, so I need to go into this year being as grounded as possible and making sure that I have the strategies in place to execute the best year possible. And that's not to make it all corporate speak and strap your boots on and make the year possible. I'm just saying I am someone who's very strategic minded, and it's really important for me to be grounded because having a strategy helps me understand how something is possible. I'm still very much a dreamer. I'm a visionary, and I want to manifest all of the things that I want in life, but I also need a strategy. And I know that in order to achieve some of my goals, I need to know how to execute them. So that is what we're discussing today. The strategies to make 2026 our best year yet. Before you even dip your toe into the new year, I think it's really important that you know what you're doing during quarter one. That is January, February, and March. They are typically, in my experience, the slower months of the year. So before the new year even hits, you want to sit down and schedule out what you're doing during the first 3 months of the year. This will help you be a little bit more grounded as you enter the slower seasons of the year so you can start off on the right foot. This means genuinely everything you want to schedule or take place during this time. Map out your appointments, map out any of the times you want to hang out with your friends, happy hours, nights out, anything on that list. If you're attending any concerts, if you're going on any trips, if you need to do something really special for your significant other or for your friends or for your family, you want to have a good idea of all of this going into your year so it doesn't sneak up on you. And I say taking this quarter by quarter kind of breaks it down in chunks that make it a little bit more manageable and less overwhelming, because when we look at the year holistically, which I know is actually a little trendy right now for people to sit and map out their entire year and everything going on, I think that's really helpful. But if you are someone who gets overwhelmed by the details really easily, just map out your first quarter. Think about what you want to accomplish, what you want to do during this time, and what is going on. This will also help you visualize your plan so that way you don't overcommit yourself. Have this live somewhere, whether it's on your Google Calendar, on your iPhone calendar, wherever you have it. Maybe you print it out and you frame it, or however you want to showcase this, I think will really help in the long run. So that way you are not overwhelmed come January and you didn't realize that you have 4 plans in one weekend and then it kind of debilitates you for the rest of the month. For a lot of people, the new year signals to create new goals or really focus on some of the things you might have been neglecting throughout the year. One of those things is typically financials. So something that is really important before you enter the new year is to have a really good understanding of where you are currently at in your finances. This includes you conducting a financial audit. You do not have to wait until January 1st to start on your goals. You don't have to wait for your resolutions. You should really have a good understanding of where you're at before you enter the new year. This is an opportunity to identify some of your blind spots. What have you been spending the most money on in 2025? I know for me, it's always food. And I don't mean groceries. It is always going out to eat. I have done financial audits on myself throughout this year, probably on a more regular monthly basis, and it is always more shocking than I expect it to be where I've been spending my money. So, identify what some of your blind spots are. You might even be able to make up money or make it feel like you have more money than you do once you realize where your money has been going. One of my goals actually in 2025 was to only spend have a stipend of $25 per month for going out to get coffees, because the year prior in 2024, I was getting a coffee probably 2, 3, 4 times a week and didn't even realize how much I was spending specifically on coffee when I have an espresso at home. I have a coffee pot at home. I have ways to be able to make this coffee at home. There's no reason I should be spending $50 a week on coffee. So really reducing that, and it helped me cut down on my spending. So identify what some of those blind spots are so you can make up for it in the new year. And then once you have a really good idea of where you're standing, what some of your blind spots are, make a budget and stick to it. This truly depends on you and your preference and your pay schedule. For me, I personally like to make a bi-weekly budget based on my paycheck. Not to say you should live paycheck to paycheck, but I like to break down my bills almost in half. So split the rent in half, split the phone bill in half, split the energy in half, and pay myself or pay my savings every single time I get paid. So that way it doesn't feel like it's as much coming out. So let's say my rent is $1,000. I would every single check either put $500 towards the actual bill that's being paid or put $500 in my savings account. So that way it's split, and almost every single time I'm contributing to each bill. That's just how I like to break my finances down. It makes me feel like I have a little bit more to play with than I do, but it gives some of that wiggle room to not feel like every single ounce of your check is going towards bills for one cycle, and then the next cycle you have a little bit of spending money. But whatever helps you is going to be the most important, because once you set a budget, you need to stick to it. There's no sense in setting a budget and then doing an audit on yourself and you realize you overspent by a lot. Take the time to really be intentional with how you're building your budget and what is manageable for you. If you know you're going to go out to eat, you need to make sure you're building out space for that in your budget. If you know you like to shop a lot, you need to build it in your budget. Be realistic with what your spending habits are and what those blind spots were. And instead of ignoring them and acting like they don't exist, start working them into your budget in the new year. I'm a collector of many things. I save every single card I get. I really would benefit from doing junk journaling or something like that. But I like to keep a lot of things. I like mementos. I'm a maximalist, I guess you would say, in the sense that I have a lot of things. And what that does for me is create a little bit of anxiety in the house, because there's not a place for everything. So even though I want to keep everything, I physically cannot, and you cannot either. It is time to take a look at everything you have going on inside your house, in your closet, in your phone, your laptop, anything that you are considering to be clutter. It is time to take that time to look through everything and get rid of it. Now, I'm not coming at this like Marie Kondo. You don't have to get rid of everything. You don't even have to get rid of half of your things. Just take the time to do inventory on what is taking up too much space in your life. You need to declutter so that way you are not taking that additional baggage into 2026. And truly, when I actually declutter, my mental capacity feels so much better. Sometimes you just truly have too many clothes. You're not going to wear them all. They're starting to clutter and take up space for some of the things that you want. It's almost an analogy for everything you want in the new year. If there are things, people, places that are taking up too much space, you need to declutter and get rid of some things. And I think there's something to be said about physical things when you're decluttering, that this is the season of giving. We're still in December. We are in this kind of period between Christmas and New Year's, and people need things. It's very cold outside in a lot of places. People can really benefit from some of the things that you may have that they don't. So kind of keep that in mind as you are decluttering. If it's something that's in really good condition, definitely consider donating it, because people do need things during this season. You don't necessarily have to think of decluttering as a loss, because a lot of people can gain from some of the things you get rid of. I feel like the culture is shifting a little bit to gravitate a little bit more towards educational resources resources and really being tapped into this like dark academia aesthetic. So in the spirit of that, you should curate your bookshelf. What do you want to read next year? What do you want to be more educated on? What are some of these hobbies and things that you want to learn more about ahead of the new year? This is a really good time to sit down and curate what you want some of these resources to be for next year. I have somewhat of a running book list, and every single time I finish a book, I go to figure out what I'm going to read next, and I just have no idea, and I almost get like decision paralysis because I have so many books on the list. I don't know what I want to read. So have a good idea of what you want to be more skilled in next year, or what you want to read, or what you want to engage with, so that way it doesn't feel overwhelming or you don't feel like you don't know what to do next. Because for a lot of things, especially skills and hobbies, they have classes, but those classes do fill up. I was just talking to someone who's going to start pottery in March, and like the class is filling up. And so you just have to be really mindful of what you want to do and when you want to do it. So that way the time doesn't pass you by and you're able to actually get it done when you want to. That's what happened to me last year. I was really wanting to ride horses in the fall, and every single weekend it just felt like it wasn't going to be feasible. And then they also didn't have anything for 2 months out, and so I just felt like I kind of missed that opportunity. So I need to be more on top of it this year if I want to be able to do it in the time I want to. So same goes for you, making sure that if there's anything you specifically are interested in doing, or there's any books you want to read or anything, that you're prepared in advance to go where you need to go. And I would be absolutely remiss if I did not highly, highly, highly recommend that before you start the new year, you do your vision board. I am a vision board queen. I love a vision board down. There is not a year that I will not make a vision board. And I think the biggest thing that will set your vision board apart is making sure you spend time to set goals before you sit down to do your vision board. When you are so intentional about the images you're using and the environment you're creating and the settings and goals that you're working to achieve, you are putting yourself in a much better position to actually hit those goals. It's all fine and dandy to sit down with a magazine, cut words out, cut a few things out here and there that you think feel aesthetic or like, oh yeah, maybe I would want to do this. It's something, but ultimately when you are very intentional and taking the time to actually curate what you are wanting in the new year, that is going to take you so much further. And so if you are building a vision board and you do have time to complete it before 2026, I highly recommend doing that. I linked the episode where I walk through the 5-step method to build your vision board to build your dream life, because I think it's really important that you have a strategy. Like I was talking about at the beginning of the episode, if you have a strategy, it will help you only elevate your goals so much more, instead of just like flailing in the air almost because you don't really know what direction to start in. New Year's are always full of so much potential, and they're a really exciting time to re-envision what your goals are, think about what you want for your life, and really start working towards becoming the best version of yourself. So I'm really excited to see everything you're able to accomplish. And hopefully these tips are really helpful as you are working to build your dream life next year. And thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let's Have Breakfast.